You can call me Yes Man. Okay. Yes! I'm not complaining.
Viva New Vegas! Viva New Vegas! Viva, Viva New Vegas!
Sorry if that was getting boring.
In our last episode, we successfully dealt with all of the tribes of New Vegas and helped Yes Man infiltrate the Lucky 38 and take over House's mainframe. Now that we've updated the Securitron's firmware, we can head back to Yes Man to find out the next step in the plan.
You did a super job wrapping things up, and I'm not just saying that because I have to. Here's a printout with some additional information.
A printout? Why didn't you just tell me? Okay. We find it in our Pip-Boy under About That Bunker at Fortification Hill. Have I told you lately that you're my favorite person? You are! The reason I gave you this printout is I wanted to remind you about that bunker Mr. House built over at Fortification Hill. I was going to say something out loud, but then I felt self-conscious because I feel really annoying when I repeat myself. Just to clarify, anytime you want to repeat yourself, go right ahead. It's only a problem when I do it. Anyway, now that you've installed me on the Lucky 38's mainframe, I can peek into Mr. House's data. And guess what? The underground facility over at the fort is super important. What Mr. House did over there was stash a huge number of Securitrons, hundreds of them. Imagine how powerful they'd be if you upgraded them with the Mark II operating system. When the Legion attacks Hoover Dam, you could sick your army on them. And who deserves to have an army more than you? No one! Plus, an army of upgraded Securitrons would be just the thing to show the NCR that you mean business. Go away and stay away, NCR. The thing is, and I really hate admitting this, I can't upgrade the Securitrons over at the fort from here in the Lucky 38. I can't establish a reliable connection. And I'm sure it's all my fault somehow. But if you took the platinum chip to the fort, you could perform the upgrade yourself. Just a suggestion. Love, Yes Man. Man, that's right, he told us that we had to go to the fort earlier, but then we got all caught up with the tribes and Mr. House. And he's just so gosh darn polite that he had to write this down as a note so as not to sound annoying. Well, bless you, Yes Man. Now, if we had reached the bunker at Fortification Hill by working with Caesar after Benny escaped the Tops Casino, this would have been a lot easier. But since we're doing it after killing Mr. House, we have failed many of the Legion's quests, we can no longer side with them, and when we arrive at Fortification Hill, the entire fort is hostile. Instead of casually wandering over to the weather monitoring station, we now have to fight our way through. We can hop into Caesar's tent to kill Caesar for good measure.
There you are.
Then head west towards the tents, take out the remaining legionaries, and open the door to the weather monitoring station. Here we find the last few legionaries, a handful of Praetorian Guard. With the guard dead, we can use the platinum chip to access a nearby console to the east. The console hums quietly, powered by some unknown source, and there is a round slot on the console about the size of a large poker chip. We can now insert the platinum chip into the slot. With that, the staircase opens up and swallows a corpse. We can head downstairs and take the elevator to the Securitron vault. This plays out almost exactly the same way it did when we had to come here when working with Mr. House, which I covered in episode 5 of this series that you can watch here. The only difference is that we don't find House here on this monitor bank waiting for us, because he's dead. And even though Yes Man has taken over the Lucky 38, we don't see him here either. So, moving down, we can take care of some of the robotic defenses, and then destroy the turrets and protectrons in the main chamber. Peering outside the window, we see a bunch of Securitrons standing by. Heading west, we cut through more robots and turrets until we reach the generator floor. Now, we have two options. If we want, we can destroy all the generators.
Search protocol.
destroy all 3 of them, the place becomes unstable and we have to race out. Or we can clear the generator room and continue fighting our way to the top of the control room. Here we find the Securitron operations console. This is the Securitron operations console for the Securitron Vault. Software updates can be installed from this console. We can insert the Platinum chip and install the Mark II upgrade software. That we complete wildcard UN What Army, and the Securitron army is now on standby waiting for orders. After fighting our way out, we can head back to Yes Man at the Lucky 38. If we chose to destroy all of the Securitrons in the Securitron Vault.
I can't get over how brave you were to destroy all those Securitrons at the fort. You know, it's just gonna make everything so much more challenging. Yeah, challenging.
But if we decided to upgrade them with the new software from the Platinum chip,
every Securitron on the network has been upgraded. Pretty neat, huh? The Securitrons at the fort are on standby. I see a status log here confirming that the Mark II OS upgrade installed correctly. They'll be all set to go once we boost my transmitting power and bring them online with the network. But we'll worry about that later. Here's some big news. I decoded a military radio transmission, and it turns out the NCR president, Aaron Kimball, is going to visit Hoover Dam. I guess he wants to boost the troops' morale, but according to projections Mr. House made, he has an 83.75% chance of being assassinated. Oops. Anyway, it looks like Mr. House thought it was important to keep President Kimball alive.
Why did Mr. House want Kimball kept alive?
Mr. House ran projections on how the NCR public will react to a defeat at Hoover Dam. Overwhelmingly, they'll blame Kimball. But if Kimball dies at Hoover Dam, there's no obvious scapegoat for them to blame, so they'll blame New Vegas instead. So that means reduced tourism for up to 5 years. The equations are pretty complicated. Mr. House sure liked numbers.
I don't care what happens to Kimball.
Fine by me. We've got more important things to take care of.
With that, we completely skip the quest, fail it, and lose karma. Or if we're friendly with the NCR, we can say, I'm on good terms with the NCR. They'll let me help protect him.
Great. A ranger named Graham has been placed in charge of security for the president's visit. You'll want to talk to him. Once the president is safe, there's one more thing for you to take care of. This gadget I'm handing you is called an override module. Mr. House had 2 of these made years and years ago. Just like him to think ahead. Take the module to the El Dorado substation and attach it to the power control terminal. I'll handle the rest.
What will the override module let you do?
I'll use the substation to send a huge jolt of electricity to the Lucky 38. Turns out this casino has its own reactor. All it needs is a jump start. With the reactor running at full tilt, I can boost the transmission strength of the Lucky 38's command and control network. I'm talking direct tactical control of hundreds of upgraded Securitrons at vast distances. You know that's gonna come in handy.
Okay, I'll get it done.
Great! When this is taken care of, we'll be all set for the Legion to make its move.
Now, Yes Man gave us 2 tasks here, to protect President Kimball and to install the override software at the El Dorado substation. However, if we go to the substation first, we automatically fail, you'll know it when it happens, and President Kimball automatically dies. So if we want to complete both of them, we have to protect President Kimball first. This plays out exactly the same way it did if we chose to complete it for Mr. House or for the NCR. I covered it in detail in my video, You'll Know It When It Happens, which you can watch here. But to sum up, heading to Hoover Dam, we check in with Ranger Grant, wait for the president to land, defuse the bomb that was placed on his vertibird, take care of the sniper on the nearby tower, and then wait for the president to complete his speech. Once done, he flies away to safety, and we complete the quest. Then we'll head to the El Dorado substation, and as soon as we arrive, we are taken aside by the NCR.
Stay out of the control room and enclosure or there's gonna be trouble. Got it?
Now, if we're still on good terms with the NCR, these guys won't attack, even when we head inside the El Dorado substation. Once inside, we can move to the back, access the El Dorado substation terminal, and then power the substation. With that, we complete this portion of the quest, and we can now head back to Yes Man. There was, however, some cut content that was originally intended to play as soon as we left the substation. Since it doesn't change the story and only enhances it, I'll show it off here. With a mod installed that restores cut content from the game, instead of heading back to the Lucky 38, as soon as we leave the substation, we can climb the hillside to the east. At the top of the hillside, we see a very familiar Securitron.
Hi there! Come with me!
Yes Man takes control of the Securitron and leads us on a trail through the hills. We weave our way amongst the rocks, pass by a campfire,
Just to the top of the ridge up here.
until we crest a hillside overlooking New Vegas.
See that? Vegas, right? Same as always. But not tonight.
Sure could use a
5,
drink.
4, 3, 2, 1. Pretty nice, huh? But that's not all. Now that the Lucky 38's reactor is fired up, Vegas doesn't need the dam to have power. Vegas is energy independent. Woohoo! If we keep the dam running, we can sell all its electricity to the NCR for a nice profit. Vegas doesn't need it. Hope to see you soon.
This is important because it's the only moment where Yes Man explains that, like House before him, he also is planning to sell the power from Hoover Dam to the NCR for profit. The light show was less than spectacular. Perhaps that's the reason they chose to cut it. Honestly, I think the reason they chose to cut this is very simple. This scene only works at night. You can't see the lights of Vegas turn on during the day. But we could have arrived at and left the El Dorado substation at any time. In fact, with this mod installed that restores the cut content, if we follow Yes Man during the day, once we arrive at the hillside, it cuts to night. I think they couldn't figure out a way to overcome this day-night issue, and so they just cut this portion from the game. Either way, we can now return to the Lucky 38 and yet again check in with Yes Man.
Don't you love seeing the Lucky 38 all lit up? Sign of things to come.
If we couldn't save President Kimball,
Too bad about President Kimball and everything. But hey, stuff happens, right?
but if we saved him,
President Kimball survived his visit to Hoover Dam. Nice one. Now, moving on. Exciting news. The Legion's massing troops in a staging area east of the dam. Attack imminent. Monster of the East ready to roll.
is there anything else I should do before the battle?
Well, some of Mr. House's projections predict a moderate probability of civil instability subsequent to the NCR being driven from the Vegas region. One of the mitigating contingencies he planned was to enlist the followers to provide increased medical aid throughout the region. Just seems like it might help keep things stable when we go independent. Not that I know what I'm talking about.
All right, I'll go talk to the followers.
Wonderful. I'll keep tabs on the situation at the dam. See you in a bit.
Now to head to the old Mormon fort in Freeside to check in with the followers. We can only complete this part of the quest if we are idolized with the followers of the apocalypse, which itself is really hard to do. I covered that in detail in my video on the followers of the apocalypse that you can watch here. Remember, this is optional. We don't have to do it. And this has been a common theme throughout most of the Yes Man ending. Most of these options are completely optional. Siding with Yes Man is one of the fastest ways to complete the game because we can just ignore almost all of the tasks he has us do. Because after all, we're in charge, right? But assuming we want to get things done, when we arrive at the old Mormon fort, we can head to Julie Farkas's room if we don't find her walking around the courtyard. Here we'll usually find her sleeping in bed.
I've heard a few patients mention the Securitrons are acting strangely, and no one has heard from Mr. House in a while. If House is out of the picture, maybe we'll be able to get our hands on some of his technology. It would help our scientists greatly.
I think the followers should support an independent Vegas through the coming battle at Hoover Dam.
Why should we support Vegas? They've locked Freeside out of the city and do nothing to help their neighboring townsfolk.
I'm setting plans in motion which will ensure both the Legion and the NCR are pushed out of the Mojave.
Wow. Whatever you have planned must be pretty big to give them the boot, but this sounds dangerous. I refuse to put my people at risk. If the NCR are pushed out, the raiders and other scum will run amok.
Part of my plan involves automated security for the region.
That is somewhat reassuring, but we still don't have the resources to care for the entire Mojave by ourselves. We already experience regular supply shortages. Opening our door to the entire region, I don't see how this could ever work.
I'm sure I can get help with supply shortages.
Even if that were the case, we still need more incentive to help Vegas.
This is a golden opportunity for the followers to spread knowledge and care through the Mojave.
It is indeed our duty to teach and improve the living conditions of our fellow man, but we're talking an insane amount of logistics to make this work.
You would establish a foothold in the region and be one step closer to rebuilding the Mojave.
I think I see now what you intend to set in motion. If this plan will bring us one step closer to revitalizing the region, you can count on our support. So long as you keep us supplied, we will stay in the Mojave to provide care and education for those in need.
With that, we finally secure the followers' help for supporting an independent New Vegas, and we can return to Yes Man to tell him that we're ready for the second battle of Hoover Dam. But we'll take up that task in our next episode. I publish many videos each and every week here on my channel, so if you don't want to miss my next episode, be sure to subscribe and to click that bell notification button. I have a shirt shop with completely unique designs you can't find anywhere else. My designs come in a variety of men's, women's, and children's sizes, and in a wide array of colors. They come on other products as well, like smartphone cases, pillows, posters, mugs, prints, stickers, etc. So if interested, you can find a link to my shop in the description below, or you can click here. If you like what I do and you want to support me in a more personal way, consider becoming a patron on Patreon or a member here on YouTube. But more than anything, I'm just so glad you're here watching this video with me today. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you soon for the dramatic conclusion to Wildcard, siding with Yes Man.
Exterminate.